It is a great joy to welcome to our studio composer Nancy Galbraith and conductor Daniel Curtis. The CMU Contemporary Ensemble will perform at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater in East Liberty on Wednesday, February 8th at 8 p.m., and admission is free. This is a very special concert. It has a premiere on it, a big one.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much for having us, Jim. And we're both really excited about the premiere of Nancy Galbraith's Violin Concerto. And we're going to be featuring in this performance an incredible young musician, violinist named Alyssa Wang, who was a student at CMU, graduated last year, and we've invited her back to premiere this wonderful concerto.
How did this piece begin, Nancy?
Well, one of my favorite things to do is to write for specific people. As you might know, I've written several pieces for Stephen Schultz, my great friend. And last year I wrote a concerto that included also David Harding. I like to pick people who have really strong musical personalities, and Alyssa would definitely fall into that category. And she was in my orchestration class, and I was talking about, we were studying John Adams' Violin Concerto, and I said, of course, you would never be able to write something like this, or you would be really foolish to as a composer if you weren't working directly with the instrumentalist. And then after, and I kind of made a joke, and I said, so Alyssa, if I wrote a violin concerto for you, then you could tell me what to do. And the whole class laughed, and I stopped, and I thought about it. And then after class, I called her up, and I said, Alyssa, you know what, I probably should do that. And of course, in typical Alyssa fashion, she just took off with it, and here we are.
Tell me more about Alyssa.
Well, Alyssa was a student at CMU for 4 years. She did her undergraduate degree there and studied with Andres Cardenas. And also took some conducting lessons from me, and she's actually a fantastic young conductor. She's now at the New England Conservatory, where she's getting her master's in violin performance. But I was thrilled to hear that she's still pursuing conducting and actually getting some instruction in that as well. This musical personality that Nancy's mentioned, it's so compelling in Alyssa. When you see her perform, she completely embodies the spirit of the music, and she performs with such conviction and confidence that it totally wins over an audience. And one of the things I really love about Nancy's music, especially when she's writing a concerto, is that you hear the personality of the soloist come through in what Nancy's written. That was true of the pieces for Stephen Schultz and for David Harding. Their friendship was totally on display in that piece, and in this concerto, I think there's this special energy and a little bit of a virtuosic flair that I know is Alyssa's inspiration coming through.
How long is it? Special features, instrumentation? What do we have?
Typical contemporary ensemble. It's a chamber orchestra basically, and I would say my usual ensemble.
Lots of percussion.
Lots of percussion.
Yes.
Harp, piano.
Your Meisterstück, in other words. All right. And why at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater?
Well, we've done most of our concerts in the last couple of years on campus, in Kreisky Theater or in Alumni Concert Hall. And I really thought this year I want to get out into the community to try a new venue that has perhaps more lighting options, sound engineering options. It's a slightly bigger venue, but really the goal is to reach a new audience, an audience that might be outside of our campus community. I hope they come to East Liberty as well, but I'm really hoping to see some new faces in the crowd for this one.
Are there special features of this concerto? Are there 3 movements, fast, slow, fast? What do we have?
Yes, it's basically a fast, slow, fast format, a 3-movement concerto. The piece lasts, I'd say, between 20 and 25 minutes.
Fiendishly difficult for the soloist?
Absolutely. And I think there are 3 cadenzas, and Alyssa's had some input. She obviously took what Nancy wrote and had some suggestions for how to make it even flashier.
She actually emailed. This was really funny. She was kind of respectful about it at first. She was a little timid, and then when she realized you own this piece, you can go with it, she actually would email me and say, would you mind if I led into the cadenza in the third movement with a little more flair? Oh, please, no more flair, of course.
I had in my head something more like, I can't possibly play this.
No, it was her once, I mean, there were a few technical places, and of course I asked for her feedback, but when all that was out of the way, she just owned it and just, would get excited about it, and of course I was going to tap into that, of course.
I think you always write for the audience, so the audience will enjoy this piece.
I hope so. There's a little note about the second movement. I was trying to write something that would really highlight what I think is exquisite musicality. During that time, my husband and I suffered a very deep tragedy. We lost our best friend. And I let the movement sit for a couple of weeks, and I came back to it as an outsider listening. I thought, there are some odd moments in this piece, in that movement, if you can picture the high flute, that repeated note,
Yes.
and that chord progression.
Yeah.
That and it wasn't meant to be programmatic in any way. It was just something that I was going through, and it's the only movement that has a name. It's called Eggshell White Night, and I stole that from my husband's poem that he wrote for a friend. And I think it's interesting to know that we're people as well as workers, and they're going through things, and sometimes it comes through,
Yes.
especially in your art.
I have a statement from the artist to read. Alyssa has sent you a note. She says, I consider it an enormous privilege to perform on stage with my incredibly talented friend Daniel Curtis while bringing to life the groovy and acrobatic music of my wonderful former professor Nancy Galbraith. This concerto has grown to be extremely personal and meaningful to me. It's rare to play the music of a female composer, and to create something powerful with another woman, especially given current events, has extra significance for me. Nancy and I both attended women's marches on January 21, and it was really on that day that I realized what her music was saying to me. During these past few weeks that we've been tweaking the concerto, it's become for me a kind of symbol of female empowerment, of resistance and persistence. It is both hopeful and relentless. Nancy has really written something spectacular that has unleashed a voice that I've never expressed in music before. I can't wait to share it with everyone. Thank you to the Carnegie Mellon Contemporary Ensemble for their hard work, and thank you, as always, to Daniel for your dependability, friendship, and selflessness.
Oh,
Alyssa Wang.
that's sweet.
She sent the email. She said she was sorry that she couldn't be here along with you. So what about this women's march? You were together? What was happening there?
Well, no, there were a few other people there. I didn't bump into her. She just read about it when I posted something on Facebook, and she saw that I'd been at the one in Washington. And of course, I think she was probably at the one in Boston. Yeah.
But that's totally Alyssa.
Yeah.
To take inspiration from real life and apply it to her music making. And I think this is why she's so convincing about it, because she totally believes in what she's doing, and feels there's a real purpose in what she's doing. And that comes across when she performs. So I'm not surprised to hear her say that, that she's found these connections, and that she's been inspired by Nancy's music in a fresh way, given recent events. And I expect that passion and that energy to totally come through when she plays the piece.
She and 3 other women at Carnegie Mellon began a fund called the Heritage Scholarship Fund. Maybe you could...
Yes, it was pretty remarkable. They recognized at CMU that the opportunity for undergraduate merit scholarship is quite limited, and that as we compete with other music schools, that's a big part of how talent is brought into the music school. So these young ladies, which Alyssa was one, organized a scholarship campaign. They did all of the publicizing, marketing, they got the word out initially. They had a very modest goal in mind, and they tripled, quadrupled, and raised a significant amount of funds such that they have a scholarship endowment started, and this is becoming a source of funds for an undergraduate merit-based scholarship, which of course does not benefit them at all. It's all about the next generation of music students coming in.
Tell me more about the rest of the program. What else is happening in this concert?
So I was thinking about what would be interesting to place around or alongside Nancy's music, and the composer Ingram Marshall came to mind. He's a New England composer. He's taught at Yale for many years, has quite a few successful students now. But lately, his music has really seen a sort of renaissance. So we're doing two pieces from Ingram Marshall that involve ensemble with electronic tape. These are works from the 1980s. Fog Tropes is one, and it's for a brass sextet with these electronic sounds that are really field recordings that Marshall made from San Francisco Bay. So we hear all sorts of tugboats and boat horns and other honks, and these sounds start to be mimicked by the brass instruments, and it creates this world of boats and brass and fog and water. Really puts you in a specific place. Marshall's music does. The other piece we're doing by him is called The Peaceable Kingdom, and it's for a larger ensemble, a chamber orchestra, also with electronic track, and here the field recordings were taken from all over the world, and it's folk music from South America, gamelan music from India, a priest chanting from the fields in Italy, and all of this makes a sort of National Geographic musical tour, and the ensemble plays along with the folk band at one point as it drifts in and then moves on to something else, and then this priest chanting comes in over top of the group, and so it's this real musical journey in search of a peaceable kingdom, which is never fully realized in the end.
Sounds spectacular. You know these pieces,
Oh yeah.
Fog Tropes
I
is
don't
one
know
of
the
his most
second one,
famous.
Fog Tropes. Yeah, that one. I love that piece. He always knows what to program with me for some reason.
Total duration of the event. How long will you be in the theater?
You know, I'm not one for incredibly long concerts, so it should be 90 minutes with a 10-minute intermission in between.
Have we mentioned all the salient features of this event? This is a spectacular, this is a happening. You've got a premiere, a fantastic soloist, an exciting young conductor, extraordinary repertoire. Wow.
I think you've covered it all.
How
Yeah.
about some Nancy Galbraith news? What else is happening with you this semester?
Well, let's see. Just finished a piano commission, and I've got 2 other commissions getting ready to do. Oh, and I just orchestrated, I don't know if you remember the mass that I wrote for Mendelssohn Choir and Bob Page.
Sure.
And I just finished still reorchestrating for full orchestra, and it's going to be done in Colorado in April.
Great. And I think I last saw you, Daniel, at the Christmas concert, the early December event over at Carnegie Music Hall. What else is happening with the contemporary in your sphere of influence at CMU?
Well, the other big project we have going right now is called Co-Opera. It's a collaboration between the School of Music, the School of Drama, and Pittsburgh Opera. And so we have 3 student composers who have written chamber operas with librettists written by playwriting students. We have student directors, student designers, projection media designers. We have vocalists from the School of Music cast in all of the roles. And on April 1st, we will premiere 3 chamber operas at the Pittsburgh Opera Studio in the Strip District.
Sounds like a lot before the academic year closes. That's fantastic.
Lots of new music, but nothing excites me more.
And all of the music, so much of the music at CMU is free, and much of it is very inexpensive. Free to students, $5 for seniors, $10, that sort of thing. To find out information, all you have to do is go to the website and check the music events that are happening there. Almost every day there's something going on. Am I right about that?
Yes. I can't
Seems
keep
like
up.
you've had an extraordinary January already with Fledermaus and some of the things that have already been missed by a few. So here's one not to miss. The CMU Contemporary Ensemble at the Kelly Strayhorn Theater in East Liberty, Wednesday, February 8th, 8 p.m. Free admission. Thank you both for coming by to talk it over. It sounds great.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you.